is amazing what iPhones can do nowadays.
Yeah, seriously. That's, I guess, the point. Having us do it on our iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So...
Do you want me to look at you or the camera?
Maybe I should. Maybe you can look.
Me looking at the camera.
Okay. Look here.
And then that's me looking at you.
Look at the camera. I think that works.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So these are very like open-ended, and I think what we like. I know this is really formal feeling.
It's okay.
You've probably been interviewed before, so okay. So I really loved our conversation last week, so I was hoping it would be like similar.
Okay.
But my first question is, what inspired, or can you explain the inspiration behind your project and just kind of like give an overview?
Yes. Of 36.5 duration.
Durational performance with the sea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. So, and I won't remember actually what I told you last week, so
Okay.
I'll just start with that. So 36.5, a durational performance with the sea, is this ongoing series of performances and video artworks where I stand in a tidal area starting at low tide, and I let the water rise up to my I can see it shaking.
I know.
Okay.
I'm trying to stabilize it.
You know what? One other thing that might help is this seems like it's like, can you tighten this? It seems like it's on a little bit of an, is it tight? Oh, maybe it is tight.
It's like automatic.
It's weird. It looked like it wasn't tight, but I guess
it just like snaps shut.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Is the sun doing anything? Or
Actually, it looks nice.
It does? Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. All right. I'll start again.
Okay.
So 36.5, a durational performance of the sea, is this ongoing series of performances and video artworks where I stand in a tidal area starting at low tide, and I let the water rise up to my chin, and then it goes back down again over the course of 12 to 13 hours. So for a full tidal cycle, low tide to high tide and back to low tide again. And I invite the public to join me standing in the water for however long they want, and to participate on the shore, marking the passing of the hours, and in many different ways in terms of building the work over the course of however much time I have to create it.
Do you think that the lav mic should be closer to your mouth, or do you think it's okay? I don't know if you've used that before.
I have.
It's probably...
I think it's, let's see. It's usually okay.
It's okay.
When it's right there. I
Okay,
don't know.
great.
I guess it's, I don't know the quality of it, so
I have no idea.
yeah.
It's probably fine.
Let's try it.
Okay.
Yeah. There is a lot of noise though because of the water.
Yeah. How does this like global, or like, can you explain the global nature of the project, and then explain like how does it connect to Kin to the Cove, and like how did you choose this site?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So this project, 36.5, began in 2013 in response to Hurricane Sandy hitting New York City. I realized when that happened just how vulnerable our urban areas really are in relationship to climate change, the climate crisis, and sea level rise. And I kept on imagining this little artist like running around the city trying to make ends meet, and the city's just sinking beneath her feet. And so that image led to this project when I suddenly realized that the tides could be a metaphor for environmental change when I was up in Maine. And when I did that first one in Maine, I had this moment where I realized that, intellectually we sort of all know, and we talk about how we are all connected through the water, all humans, all species, everything that is living is connected through the water. But when I did that first performance in Maine, which was this really poetic, kind of impulsive response, I really felt it in my body, that connection. And I made this promise to myself when I was out there in the water that if I could make it through the 12 hours and 48 minutes of that first work, that I would then I needed to connect with communities around the world and understand what they were dealing with what people on the other side of the planet were dealing with in relationship to the climate crisis, and specifically sea level rise at this moment, because this is it's a it's a global thing. We have to come together as a species to do something about it. And how do we think about that from a really hyper local and individual perspective? And then, wow, how do we think about it from a global perspective? And someone just threw trash over the. I wonder. I'm like, I want to assume that it fell down, and not that they just dropped it. But yeah, it'll come. We'll get it. Can you believe that?
We literally just talked about this.
Did you see it happen? Did you see that happen?
Yeah, I saw that happen.
It's horrible.
Did somebody literally
Just
dropped it?
Yeah, dropped it.
Did you
Wow.
No, Grace tried to.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it to
Don't interrupt. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
No, you're
it's
totally
okay.
fine.
Don't worry.
There's a piece of metal. It could be a hook.
I know. You know what? I found a piece of metal earlier that's up as part of the treasure thing.
Okay.
It's a little far. Do you want me to continue? Are we still recording?
Yes.
Okay.
We are recording.
Yes, you got it. Now we're like all invested in
I know, this
cup.
could be like the movie. Yay!
Yay! You got it. Good job.
Not every hero wears it.
Okay, wait. I was gonna say one more thing before
Okay.
I have it, which was just that. So from that first one in 2013, I have since gone on to make this work in Mexico, after Maine, Mexico, San Francisco, the Netherlands, Bangladesh, Brazil, Kenya, and Aotearoa, New Zealand was actually where I was when Hurricane Sandy hit. Oh, not Hurricane Sandy.
COVID.
Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Which tragedy
I know
was it?
exactly. Was where I was when COVID hit, and so I was like 6 days away from the performance, so I still have to go back there and finish that work. And then the final one will happen in New York City, September 4th, 2022. Everyone's invited. Come stand with me in the water at the Cove. And there was one more thing. Oh, and so because of the postponement, because of COVID, that's what led to Kin to the Cove. I was supposed to do the New York work September 5th, 2020, but that all changed because of the pandemic, and so we ended up trying to really think about community engagement and how to engage with people. Woo! And the water's rising. Well, this is the ferry. The ferry has come. The ferry has arrived. Give it 1 second to chill out.
I was walking along this edge earlier.
Yeah.
And I had to like run back because the water was coming. And yeah, but when I got here, it was all the way over there, and you could actually cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know. And this is actually a really interesting thing because I used to think I was going to stand like right here. Now I'm thinking I might stand over there. So figuring out how people get over there is a whole...
I was actually thinking about that from like the design perspective of like these two spaces and like how the water is interacting with this edge is really interesting, and also connecting to the park.
Yes.
Like if there was a boardwalk that came around and like looped over here, that would be so like, I don't think this parking lot's gonna go away, but
no, it's not. It's owned by somebody. It's owned by this other mafia guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I love how there's just like a Hewlett condo.
I
Cool.
know. I know. Well, you should definitely talk more about design, because this is one of the big things that I have to figure out is if I do it over there, like, okay, how do people, if they want to join me when the water is high, do I just sort of say stay close to this edge and walk along, or do we sort of give them something else to, like, where that
there would have to be a way down, right? From
because there's no public entrance over there.
Yeah.
But I like it from that side so much better.
I mean,
Anyway,
I wonder
it's
if
big
you can
question.
install some kind of temporary stair or a ramp or something. Anyway. Now we're getting into the design.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, we moved. Are we
I'm
okay?
just gonna
Yeah,
move
okay.
this back a little so you're not.
Okay.
It's not flat, so it's a little. Yes.
Okay, am I
Move back
good?
a little bit.
Okay. There.
I just don't want to cut off your head a little bit more. Oh no, you
The
can't.
love.
No, you're probably fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, right here? Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, did I finish what I was saying? The water was coming. Oh, yeah. So the pandemic, the postponement of the pandemic, or the postponement of the project because of the pandemic is what led to Kin to the Cove. It kind of came organically out of this question of, okay, well, we have at least a year, maybe 2 years. It has been 2 years now. How can we connect with the public around everyone's relationship to the water and the Cove, specifically this site, and sort of build slowly the audience and the people who will help make this performance happen ultimately. So yeah, it's been 2 years of long-term engagement.
What have been your takeaways in terms of global perspectives on climate change, like especially among communities that'll be unequally impacted by the effects of climate change?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like the biggest takeaway from all the different places that I've worked is really about listening to the people, the original stewards of the land and water. There is so much indigenous wisdom that we just really, the rest of society needs to listen to in a real way. There's people who are on, Long Island who have been here for the last 10,000 years, and their traditional ways, I think, really are all about caring for water as our kin, and all really recognizing the beauty and power of the plants and the birds and all species. And as I've gone around the world, I've really come to terms with the trauma of white settler colonialism. I didn't expect this to be a theme in the work, but it of course has come up when you think about or when you're doing anything global and really connecting with people on an individual scale. And when we talk about climate change, that is really what I see, is that we absolutely need to listen to the indigenous leaders and let highlight that wisdom and find our own way, everyone who can find ways to connect that to the land and the water in ways that that heed some of that knowledge. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Or is that coherent?
No, it is. But it made me wonder, like, how has your work, like, or has it? Do you feel that it has lifted up some of those voices?
I think so, on a small scale, like I think I know a lot of the people that I've worked with in different places hold this as a really meaningful moment, and it will be interesting, on September 14th when I do the work in New York City, there will be satellite performances happening in all the places where I've been before.
Oh, wow.
Part of that is really about kind of decentralizing. Of course, like New York, where I am, is going to be the hub, because I'm organizing it, and it's like my body has actually performed this around the world, so I sort of hold this archive of what in my body of what has happened. But I'm really interested in how, and trying to figure out how to encourage my collaborators in different parts of the world to use this as a catalyst for them to do what they want to do, and tell their own stories and let it grow in whatever way it wants to be. So I think of the project as a whole as really being kind of a seed that can grow. It continues to grow. I always think about it as very rhizomatic, because it just kind of it keeps on growing in different ways that I can't necessarily predict. And I like that, I like that, following the organic nature of it, I didn't know that this would, here we would be today watching Chris perform this amazing stuff. and it's like part of the project, but it's also his own thing, you know? It's all related, and that's a beautiful thing.
What is vulnerability to you, and how does it factor into your work?
Easy question.
And then there's a connected question of, can you describe the embodied and emotional experience of being in the water for a full tidal cycle? Maybe that's easier to kind of fold in.
Yeah, I can do both, but let me start maybe with that.
Okay.
Describe the embodied experience of being in there. Yeah.
And like why having an embodied experience is important to your work.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the climate crisis is very abstract for people. And I think, I mean, it's interesting. In 2013, when I started this project, I feel like it was very uncool to be talking about climate change and sea level rise. And actually, I would see people's eyes glaze over if I mentioned those things. And I still think that's true to some extent today, but there's many more people who care and who recognize that it's something we have to pay attention to because of what's happened over the last 9 years. I think for me, I work with time, I work with the body, I work with bodies in space. I'm thinking about deep time, I'm thinking about humans in the ancient past and in the far distant future. I'm thinking about all species that we are in connection with. And so for me, I think many humans, especially in societies where, like New York, many of us are disconnected from the water, and we're disconnected from this natural wisdom, the wisdom of the plants and the wisdom of the water. And if we were more connected, I think we would have a better understanding of what is coming and what we might have a better understanding of what our future holds. And so...
Okay, we got...
It's okay. This is a very long-winded answer, but so what I'm trying to do is encourage people to have an experience of time and water in a different way than what they're used to, and because I believe that it brings up a lot for people, and I can never predict what it's going to give to people. Like I know what happens for me. It's hard to describe in words. But I know that when people stand with me for a while, if they stand especially a little longer than they anticipated standing with me, I know they have an experience, and that experience stays with them in their body and in their hearts, and it's often emotional. And that, to me, is what shifts perspectives ultimately, is when you have an experience that changes your perspective on things. And I can't say exactly what that perspective shift is going to be, but I know that experiences are what move people. Yeah.
That's great.
Was that too long-winded?
No, it's perfect.
Okay, you can edit. I figure you'll just
I will.
chop it up. Do you want me to do the vulnerability one?
You can. What?
Oh my god!
Okay. All right. Maybe I'll set this closer to the wall. That's my last question. Well, and there was one that's about like how you feel, if and how you feel this work is processing like collective grief, which is kind of connected to the vulnerability thing. So, however you feel, you want to answer that.
I can try. Is this a good spot?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I can't ever predict exactly what will happen when I do the performance. I do know that I'm sort of creating this image. I'm inviting people to experience.
Sorry.
Trying to fix the camera.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. There's it here. If we move like a rock. Oh yeah. Put it where you think.
Yeah, you're right. Stressful.
I know. If you dig the far one into the sand. There you go. I know these tripods are hard, man.
I've never used one either.
Especially these kind that are sort of like tall and skinny.
Okay. Can you
Okay,
just...
yeah. There.
Maybe a little bit more to the right. Good. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, the performance is about processing collective grief, and it's also about processing resilience or potential for resilience and potential for hope. It's really, I'm sort of purposefully putting myself in this situation that's really challenging as a way of sort of leaning into the struggle and trying to think about what I can endure and what we can endure as a human population, and what we need to give up in terms of comforts in order to make it through this time. So yeah, one of my friends put it really well at one point. She said it's like individual and collective processing of resilience and something else. I'm forgetting. Never mind. Don't
Okay.
But yeah, so I guess in some ways it's grief. In some way, I mean, a lot of people will interpret it as grief, and that's great for me. I don't necessarily talk about it as grief myself, but yes, there's a deep sadness, and I'm looking for the hope in what looks so bleak, you know, and trying to find that. And I think by putting my body in a vulnerable position, I think this is true for like a lot of durational art. I don't know, it allows people to see things in a different time scale, allows people to experience things. If you see the vulnerability of the human body, and I'm looking at this metaphorically too, so you see like the vulnerability of humans as a whole on this planet, and what does that make us want to do or be, or how can we be better in our daily lives? That's, I guess, what I'm hoping, but also I don't want to preach to anyone, you know. I'm really trying to ask the questions. I think my job as an artist is to ask questions and to see what people take from it. So this image, I know what it's about for me. It is sort of this parallel, micro, macro, individual scale, planetary scale, but I really want people to take it for however they take it. I really believe in the power of art to be powerful cultural shifts, to make changes in a better way. And I think like a lot of people aren't gonna pick up trash because someone tells them to pick up trash. But if they have an experience that allows them to feel more connected to the water, and they learn something about themselves along the way, they may feel inspired and they may think about things differently, and we may all start to do better.
Is there anything else that you want to say to the world?
Oh my God, to the world. Well, I hope you just edit out all my little.
Oh, don't
blah,
worry.
blahs.
I'm gonna edit the crap out of everything.
Okay, good. Yeah. It'll be. You'll take like a sound bite. Hopefully.
Yeah, probably something.
It won't
like
be too
that.
hard.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for your interest, and I'm really grateful for all the people who have participated in the work so far. And I hope that everyone comes and joins in.
Wait,
some
one
way
last
or
question.
another.
How
Yeah.
many people do you think have, if you had to give an estimate, have participated in your performances across the globe?
Yeah, I guesstimate around like 500 people around 500 people in the actual performances. Then many more have experienced the video works, obviously. And there may be more. I haven't always done a great job of counting, but that's the the people who've stood in the water with me or participated from the shore, not necessarily
I just got pooped
the audience. It actually like went right there. Oh, you totally
It's in my
did.
hair.
It is.
What do I do? What the fuck?
You need a napkin
I don't know. Yes.
or something?
I guess I do. Napkin.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Do you have a? Wait, I might have a. Oh yeah, that could work.
I can't
You might have a tissue.
I'm turning the camera.